The project this semester was working with one of our largest restaurant companies globally. What we do for this customer is pretty specific. We help them with their risk management in a large part of the world, which is hedging, dealing with supply chain, dealing with shipping for a few different commodities. Commodities can be sourced from any number of countries, shipping to any number of countries, so quite a few logistical points in between. And really what we were managing was two big risks. One was a price risk, so we advised the customer on hedging and actually when to buy the physical goods, how to make sure the price they were buying was hopefully at a low point in the cycle or competitive versus other of their competitors in the market. And then number two is making sure wherever we bought the oil from or any of the commodities from reached their desired destination in the right time. Even though we had a lot of intricacies or complexity between the shipping points, where we sourced the commodity from to where it was going in the region, we also had a lot of risk around inventory forecasting and supply and demand forecasting. So when specifically we could pick a commodity up, when specifically the customer could take the commodity, how we understood the risk that created that if we overbought, we bought too much, and then the demand forecast being too little, we had to sell that commodity back and unwind hedges. So there were a lot of nodes between the shipping points from the origin and destination, and in between there quite a lot of forecast variability or volatility that we had to manage as well. So the whole project was trying to take all those different nodes and really find a way to better understand the risks that were being generated and then better able to manage the risks that were being generated. One reason we love doing projects like this is that we have a way of doing them that have sometimes been in place for years that we become accustomed to and we work through almost as like muscle memory. Then being able to give the problem to a new set of students and seeing how they come at it from a different angle, different approach, maybe they ask different questions, is always a very fun part of the process and helps us challenge our own thinking. But specifically, I think the students in this project had some creative time-saving ways to cut through some of the noise between all the data, between all the nodes, the forecast variability, volatility, the shipment points. They were able to concisely get to the root of the problem without maybe having to take as many steps as we take in the process today. So I think the ability to understand the fundamental problem and then jump towards a solution is what really impressed me about the students. The first is that it really just does save us some time in how we manage the problem, how we evaluate the problem, and again, how we get to that fundamental answer. We're able to short circuit or take fewer steps to get from point A to point B. So that's one main area. But number two, it's in the customer experience. So if it takes us fewer steps to get from problem to solution, that allows us to be quicker in our response to our customer. It also allows us to spend more time on more valuable things with the customer. So if we're able to manage the volatility, manage point A to point B shipping in a quicker and easier way, then we can move on to what is the next most valuable thing we could do for that customer. So we have a lot of brain power in the student group, we have a lot of brain power at Bunge, and what we can really do is unlock more of that brain power to take on the next complex challenge with the customer. You really get to see how other companies in the region across industries, not just agriculture, not just food, manufacturing, engineering, financial services, different industries and how they approach problems, and it helps us create ideas of how we want to maybe tackle same or similar problems. So that's number one, but then number two is that you get to take a lot of these problems and then apply it to, I would say, the next generation of leaders coming into industry, which is the students at the Boeing Center. So you get to take a lot of the problems we talk about in an industry or across industry level, but then also show those problems to students. And the students then have the newest research, the newest analytical capabilities, the newest ways to approach these problems. And they're able to educate the industry on some of the best practices. So you kind of get both edges of the spectrum there, where you get to see how industry is approaching problems, but then you also get to see how the newest academics, the newest research is going through the students, how the students view those problems, and then it gives you a little bit of a view of how new workers at Bunge, how they might come in and influence Bunge. Both sides of the spectrum approach is really valuable, the industry side and then the academic or the university side, and the Boeing Center is able to bring those two things together in a pretty unique way.